According to reports, Russian missiles have hit the Ukrainian town of Vasilkiv. The town is located southwest of the capital Kiev. Missiles set an oil terminal here ablaze. Photographs posted on online social media show fire and smoke rising from the facility. Mayor Natalia Veselanovic said that the enemy wants to destroy everything around. Now, earlier in the night, terrified men, women, children sought safety amid a 39-hour curfew, which was imposed to keep people off the streets. Many bridges, schools, residential buildings have been hit. This comes after Russia claimed that its assault aimed at Ukraine's military targets.
Шановна Васильківська громада, ви бачите всі зараз, що відбувається, бачите вогонь. Це, на жаль, горить нафтобаза на Крічках. Ворог хоче зруйнувати все навкруги, але йому нічого не вдасться. Ви бачите, що сьогодні протягом дня йшли потужні обстріли з балістичних ракет, в тому числі нашого.
In an attempt to counter Russian troops in Ukraine, US President Joe Biden has now signed an order to provide $350 million in military aid to Kiev. The development comes as Russian forces continue to march towards to siege the Ukrainian capital and overturn the Zelensky government. Other countries, including Germany, have also announced to provide military assistance to Kiev, while France has pledged to send more military equipment as well as fuel to Ukraine to help fight off the Russian invasion. Our next report gets you all the details.
President Joe Biden on Friday instructed the U.S. State Department to release up to an additional $350 million worth of weapons from U.S. stocks to Ukraine as the country struggles to push back a Russian invasion. In a memorandum to Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Biden directed that $350 million allocated through the Foreign Assistance Act be designated for Ukraine's defense. This marks the third time that the United States has drawn from its weapons to supply Ukraine, after doing so in the fall of 2021 and then again in December. Blinken on Saturday called the third authorization unprecedented. Over the past year, the United States has committed more than $1 billion to security assistance to Ukraine, Blinken said. Ukraine has been asking for Javelin anti-tank weapons and Stinger missiles to shoot down aircraft. Other nations have pledged military material to Kyiv as Ukraine's military fights against an invading Russian force. The Netherlands will supply 200 Stinger air defense rockets, while Belgium has pledged 2,000 machine guns and 3,800 tons of fuel. France has decided to send defensive military equipment, while adding that the issue of sending offensive arms was still under consideration.
Now, as Russian troops continue to unleash their assault on Kiev and other Ukrainian cities, the West is ramping up measures to impose more sanctions on Russia, particularly targeting its economy. Now, in the latest, Western allies have agreed on a new list of financial sanctions against Moscow. European Union has proposed banishing a number of Russian banks from the SWIFT interbank system. With this, the West will ensure that these Russian banks are disconnected from the international financial system. These allies also agreed to impose restrictive measures to prevent the Russian central bank from deploying its international reserves. Adding on to this, affluent Russians connected to Putin's government will also no longer be allowed to use the golden passport system to obtain a European citizenship. Speaking in Brussels, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, EU and other Western powers, including the United States and UK, are now considering to move to cripple Vladimir Putin's war machine.
As Russian forces unleash their assault on Kiev and other Ukrainian cities, we are resolved to continue imposing massive costs on Russia, costs that will further isolate Russia from the international financial system and our economies. In coordination with President Biden, President Macron, Bundeskanzler Scholz and Prime Minister Draghi, as well as Prime Minister Trudeau and Prime Minister Johnson, we considered a significant tightening of our international response. The European Union and its partners are working to cripple Putin's ability to finance his war machine.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.